Hey, Coach, appreciate you taking the time today.
Thanks, Alec.
We'll get started here with Rube and then Brooks.
Hey Nick, how's it going?
Hey, Rube.
Hey, I wanted to ask you about Quez Watkins. You know, the last I don't know 5 or so times that you've gone deep to him. He had the two balls in Dallas that were intercepted, the fumble against Washington, the drop in the Super Bowl, and then the play the other night. What gives you the confidence to keep dialing him up in high leverage situations?
Well, sometimes understand this with Quez, his speed it changes the game, and not just because it's going to him, it's going to open up the rest of the field. And you can't always predict where the ball is going to go. The defense, obviously, there's things that happen where the defense dictate where's the ball going to go. So in that particular case, that was one of them. Quez was on a clear out route. The defense did something a little different than what we anticipated, and the ball got shot and went to him. And I still have confidence in Quez, but sometimes he's in there also to clear the field and to show his speed, because his speed is legit. And so, but again, you can't say again. I'm confident still in Quez. I still have confidence in him. But that's the way the game goes sometimes, Rube, with where the ball's going, because he has to be accounted for, on each play because of his speed, and it opens guys up underneath because of his speed.
So if I could just follow up real quick, you're not planning to change his playing time or his snap count or anything like that?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, we're confident in him as a player, as a teammate. Julio's done a good job. OZ's done a good job. We have three guys that rotate in between being the number 3 receiver. So, we'll see where the reps continue to go. Each game plan's a little bit different of what you're asking the players to do and the roles, and so we'll see.
Go ahead, Brooks, and then Chris.
Hey, Nick, you mentioned about Sean Desai's role now with the defense. Why is it that he has retained his title as defensive coordinator, and is there a pathway back this season or the next where he goes back to calling defensive plays, and how would you describe that?
Yeah, you know what? Again, like they said, they've switched responsibilities, and Sean did a really good job helping out in the game on Monday, both in the locker room at halftime and on the headsets. And I know Matt valued his opinion and his opinions and his vision, and I really admire how Sean went about his business last week. I think any of us that have been in a situation where things didn't go the way we wanted it to go, you can go two ways with that. And I really believe Sean took it really speaks volumes of the person and the coach that Sean is, and the character that Sean has, is that he did everything he could do to help the football team. That's why Sean is here, and we know he can help us moving forward, and really excited to have him continuing to have a role on this team and on this staff.
But was there something you communicated to him that he can show behind the scenes in this new role that can?
Yeah, I'll keep all our conversations private.
Okay.
Go ahead, Chris, and then Jeff.
Afternoon, Nick.
Hey, Chris.
You mentioned that accountability is one of your main tenets that you have with your core philosophies there. How are you keeping the players accountable during this losing streak? Do you think that they're responding to that accountability, and what are some of the methods that you do to hold them accountable?
Same methods I use when we're winning. It's the exact same. When you change who you are, or you change your core values based off of wins and losses, that's when you're gonna lose the team. And so it's the exact same accountability regardless of the outcome, right? That's the only way you're gonna end up getting better. We're in a little bit of a skid right now that I'm very confident that we'll be able to get out of because of the people that we have in this building, and the accountability that not only that I hold the standard to for the team and myself, but also what they hold the standard to. And so that hasn't changed. That hasn't changed in the slightest, because when your core values are deep within you and deep within the roots of this football team, because we live them and preach them and every single day when we're in this building. And so, it goes back to, you continue to double down on the things you know to be true. You continue to grow under the surface, even though when you're not growing out in public, and you hold the guys accountable, and they hold themselves accountable the exact same way, because this is your habits, your daily habits, and that's your core values.
Go ahead, Jeff, and then Dave.
Nick, how do you feel Jalen Hurts has played the last 3 games?
Obviously offensively, I'd say offensively, we haven't played or coached up to our standard the last 3 games. Overall, as you look at our offense overall, I think there's a lot of similarities with our offense last year's statistically and the way we played, and this year, except for 2 major categories, and that's been our explosive plays and our turnover differential. But if you look at all our other statistical categories, I think you'd see that it was very similar. It is very similar. But these last 3 games have not been up to our standard, and Jalen and myself and Brian are always going to be looked at first. We know that. We accept that based off of our position. And if we're not playing good enough offense, it's probably because all 3 of us are doing our best job. And so, but Jalen has had, I thought I thought he did a lot of good things in this game, last game. I thought he did a lot of good things in the game against Dallas, and then we had some unfortunate turnovers. My mind's a little bit off 3 weeks ago from San Francisco. Don't remember much about what happened there unless I watched the tape again. But like any of us, Jalen's going to want some plays back. We're going to want some calls back. Everybody out there is going to want some plays back. We just got to get it back on track. I would say prior to, I know we're zeroing in on those 3 games, or to your question, but prior to that, Jalen Hurts is an MVP consideration, MVP top candidate. And so it's the body of work for the year. And we know and we're confident that we all can get back to that body of work that we put in prior to this 3-game stretch. Has this 3-game stretch been our standard? No. And we're working like crazy, and we're determined to get back to where we were prior to this.
Nick, if I could just follow up real quick. If and I understand that you don't have to voice all your criticisms of Jalen when he does something wrong, but publicly. But is it being told to him in the meeting room that when
I'm going to keep our conversations, like I said to the other guy, I'm going to keep my conversations with the players between me and the players. Accountability is our number 3 core value, and it's only number 3 because it came in that order: connect, compete, accountability. They're not in any order. So accountability, you could, again, when Chris asked me the question accountability, I didn't say something to Chris that I'm not saying to you right now. Accountability is the one of the main core values we have, and we live by those every single day.
Go ahead, Dave, and then Tim.
Hey, Nick, I think you'd probably agree that the standard hasn't been met on either side.
Yeah, I just said that 2 seconds ago. Go ahead.
Sure, I'm just prefacing the question. I think you'd agree with that. So when you look at the differences in the struggles offensively and defensively, what led you to make a coaching staff change on defense but not offense?
Yeah, so like I said, offensively, the last 3 games have not been consistently up to our standard. But if you look at our offense throughout, right, it still is in the top 10 category in a lot of the statistical categories we look at, except for the turnovers and the explosive plays. And we got to do a better job on both of those things. We got to put the players in more positions to create explosive plays. But make no mistake about it, like, this offense is being run the exact same way the offense was run last year and the year before that. This offense is my offense, right? This is my offense. And so the criticism on the offense, like, I think unfairly goes to Brian. Brian calls the plays. It unfairly goes to Brian. The criticism on this offense should come at me. And because this is my offense. So I was hired to do a job here, and got hired because I was successful as an offensive coordinator with our schemes and the different things that we did to coach players and help players win. And I'm committed to that. And like I said, the criticism should come at me, and I think it unfairly goes at Brian a lot of the times because he's calling the plays. But make no mistake about it, this offense has been consistently similar throughout the 3 years. Yes, there's different things you do based off your personnel and different things you do based off the teams that you're playing and what's working for you. But again, it all starts there with me. And so I guess I would, I'm not thinking that a change needs to be made there for multiple reasons, and that's one big one.
Go ahead, Tim, and then Zach.
Hey, Nick, on that second interception, was A.J. the primary read? And why take a shot downfield in that situation where a shorter completion could have gotten you into field goal range?
Yeah, there's at times there, Tim, we've seen, you can get a pass interference there. It was what it was on that particular play, but if you get a pass interference call there, and if a team's giving you a one-on-one shot for, very similar to what happened on the other side of the ball, they ended up getting a one-on-one shot that, had some different things there. And we've seen it. We had one-on-one shot against the Rams, and you can get a pass interference, and now you're in position to kick it. So we have some of the best receivers in the NFL outside. And so there's times where you're going to do that. And we felt like in that situation we had an opportunity to. It didn't work out that particular time. But we've done it at other times in 2-minute drills, and it's worked. So, but in that particular time it didn't work. So we understand the criticism. But not only could you get a pass interference, also AJ has a tremendous ability to come down with the football in one-on-one situations. And you know what? In this particular case, it didn't work out. But we're comfortable with what was called and what we did in that scenario, and we'll be better next time because of it.
Go ahead, Zach, and then John.
Hey, good afternoon, Nick. What's your personal background in Matt Patricia's case with Matt Patricia and his defensive philosophy, his defensive scheme? How comparable is it to what you guys installed and have been running the first 13 weeks?
There's obviously differences, Zach. I think that's a really good question too, Zach. There's obviously differences. Why is Matt Patricia here in the first place is because I, have had so much respect for him as a coach in this league, going against the defenses that he's had for as long as I've been in the NFL. And so, and that's why he's here in the first place. Know he could help me in situations as a head coach and as with the defense. And so, as far as the schemes being similar, there's definitely differences. And so, you're not necessarily going to see complete wholesale changes, at this point of the year. But you'll see some different things here and there, and the offenses will see some different things here and there. Obviously, for competitive advantages, I'm not going to get into all the different things or pretty much any of the different things that you're going to see, but there'll be differences. But then again, we're going to stick with some of the core things that we've done, and we've done well through the first 14 weeks of the season. So, like I said, it's a group effort by our defensive staff. Matt's just the one that's making the main decisions now. Sean still has a voice in there, and our assistant coaches still have a voice in there. So we're just trying to refine what we do well and continue to do what we do well and eliminate some of the mistakes that we've made.
Go ahead, John, and then Martin.
Hi, Nick. You mentioned the explosive play aspect of it, and you want to get back on the right side of that, the explosive plays and turnovers, but specifically with the X plays, how difficult is it to keep that sort of tightrope when it seemed like they were playing a lot of too high? So when teams are trying to take that away, trying to take away the explosives, do you have to be maybe a little bit more disciplined, take what they're giving you?
Yes. There's ways. Again, we have to do, I think, starting with myself, and we have to do a better job of trying to scheme some things open against some of that cover 4, right? And so that doesn't mean you're always going to get it. And so there is an art to knowing when, and then once we talk about it, once we go over it with the players, Jalen's got to feel comfortable with it. And then there's an art to Jalen's case of, all right, here's when they're giving it to me, and here's when they're not, right? And take it when they give it to you and check it down or go underneath when it's not. And that's the tough part about playing quarterback. But that is a good question because, some of those defenses are designed to take away that. But in each and every coverage, there's opportunities, in plays to attack underneath. There's opportunities in plays to attack on the outside. There's opportunities in plays to attack inside the numbers and an intermediate level. And there's opportunities in plays to attack the ball deep as well. Some easier than others to get that going. I think I saw a stat that one of our quality controls did for us the other day is that, we're number 1 in explosive plays against cover 4, which, is ironic because we're not as high in explosive plays, but we are, and this was a couple weeks ago, y'all would have to check me on this, but we are number 1 in explosive plays against cover 4. And so there is an art to it, and that's why, Jalen has the hardest job in all of sports playing quarterback of knowing when it's time to, based off the play that we're running, to throw it deep and when to check it down. And, and so but I have a lot of confidence with Jalen and the guys on this team that we can get this thing turned around. And, all it takes is the next game. All we're thinking about is how we turn it around going into this next game, and we'll take it one day and one game at a time.
Go ahead, Martin, and then EJ.
Hi, Nick. Obviously, this is the first time you guys have gone through a 3-game losing streak since, early in your first year here. And I was kind of wondering, are there things you can draw from as far as being able to get the guys out of this that you were able to do 2 years ago?
Yeah, it's definitely, there's differences, Martin. There's definitely differences, just based off of your standard continues to grow as you continue to be around each other. So our standard's even higher now. So does it hurt a little bit more now? Yeah, it does. Not to say it didn't hurt any less. So there are differences there, but there definitely are some similarities of when you're going through rough times. And I think that's what's great about football is that you can compare things that you've went through in your life, the tough times you've went through in your life, and how you've overcame. I think that's been a consistent message is this game you have to be able to overcome, not only in a 3-game losing streak, but also if a couple quarters aren't going your way. Well, also things that every one of those guys in our room have overcame different things to be sitting in the seats that they're sitting in, myself included. And so, in those times, you think back about the hard times in your life that you've overcome to get to the spot you're at, to, comfort you in the times of these areas and say, you got the mental toughness to get through this and get better because of it. I know that every guy, that I've talked to on our team, because that's something I've talked to a lot of our guys on our team, what's a hardship you've been through? What's something you've overcome? And that's something you talk to guys about during the draft process to figure a little bit about their mental toughness and about who they are as a person, but that's also something you do in forms of connecting. And so, I know a lot of our guys have been through a lot of crap and been through some tough times. That's what life is, and those moments are in life. And so you draw back on those moments and know that you've overcome and you're better off because of it. And that's been a consistent message there through some of these difficult times that we're going through right now. The other thing that's really important when you're going through times is that you're connected. Because, and that goes back to your core values of being connected, because in times of trial, we're going to want everyone to stay together when there's a lot of people that are going to want to tear us apart. And it's all that's important is what's in this building, sticking together, locking arms together, being together, and that's where that connectivity really comes into play. Connectivity is great when you're going through good times. You see us having fun on the sideline, different things like that. But it's even more important in times like this. And so I'm glad that our guys have worked their butts off to be connected to each other, to lock arms, and to say, how are we going to figure this crap out together?
We have time for a few more, so we'll get to EJ, Bo, and then Bob.
Hey, Nick. On the Monday night broadcast, there was a clip of Christian McCaffrey predicting a quarterback draw based off of Jack Stoll's alignment on that play. Do you feel like defenses are starting to catch up to some of the tendencies of the offense, or that things have become a little bit predictable?
From that one play, no. Good eye. I obviously know about this because Bob gets me ready for these questions, but good eye by Christian McCaffrey to see that, point that out. We have never run that play from that formation, so I think you're looking at a guy who's highly. Let me say what I think of Christian McCaffrey. Like he's got high football IQ. He's got very high football IQ to be able to see that. That doesn't mean that other guys on the defense don't, but you know, that play was designed to put us in either fourth and short or to get the first down. We accomplished a goal from that play, got ourselves in fourth and short, and ended up getting a first down from that. I think the other thing, EJ, that good offenses have, very similar to the 49ers, they have plays that they run as staples, you know, and you know it was. And so staples are a play that you have that you lean on. Every good football team, every good offense I've ever been on has staples, including the 2022 Philadelphia Eagles. The 2023 Philadelphia Eagles have staples because, you know, again, it's about what you do well and repeating those things and giving it different looks. Like I said, that was the first time we run a similar play to what we ran in that game that Christian pointed out. Yes, out of that look, no. And so, but that's pretty common of good offenses, that they're going to have staples that they lean on, and you know, when things maybe aren't going right and they want to get out of a rut, maybe when you know you got everything on the line. There's different times to use your staples, and so. I think that's a product of offenses that, you know, have had some success.
Go ahead, Bo.
Hey, Nick, on Matt Patricia, just from not having worked with him before in the building, what are some of the things that, you know, maybe were not as expected from your vantage point on him, and what were some of the things that he did over the past few months that impressed you to think this guy could run the defense?
Yeah, so we did when we went against the Patriots in practice. Myself and Kevin and Coach Patricia did a lot, just communicating back and forth of getting things ready for practice. Really, Kevin and Matt did a lot of it. Really, at the end of the day, Kevin does an unbelievable job being the assistant head coach. Him and Jamal, and so. You know, we got to know him a little bit through that process, got to know him a little bit through just being in the profession with him and the respect they have for him. So, you know, we knew him, and we had a prior relationship to that. But as far as, you know, even when we interviewed him, or, you know, when we're in right now, his level of football IQ is off the charts. He's a tireless worker, much like all the guys that are on my staff. His football IQ is off the charts. His details off the charts. Again, those are things that I'm always looking for when I'm filling a staff. Is can they put the players in positions to succeed because of their football IQ, and can they teach the players fundamentals to get the player better at accomplishing the job? And I think off the charts on both of those. And like I said, that's what I look for in every one of our coaches is, can they get the players better, and can they help put the players in positions to succeed, and are they a good man and gonna, because you need good people on the staff too that are going to be able to fight through tough times and stick together.
Last one here with Bob.
Yeah, actually, I have two quick ones, Nick. On the 2-minute offense, you said after the game the other night you weren't happy with the way that transpired. There was 3 chances to do that. You answered Tim's question about the second interception, but when you looked at film, was there anything you could put your finger on as to why those 3 possessions didn't go very well?
Yeah, you know, I said what I said, and it wasn't good enough in the game on Monday, right? We had 3 opportunities, and we didn't succeed on any of them, and that's like I said, that's us being able to put them in position to succeed. There's different reasons for each one, right? There's different reasons for each one, because each 2-minute situation, without nerding out about every 2-minute situation and how all the different things that go into it, each one was a little bit different. One was with 26 seconds. One was with, you know, a minute, whatever. And like all those are completely different scenarios. Listen, we didn't coach it well enough. We didn't execute it well enough, and as a result, we didn't score any points. As I was kind of getting on the offense about that and getting on myself about that, and because, you know, again, it starts with me, and we're kind of having discussions of, hey, man, you know, what didn't go right in this game? Well, we didn't convert on 2-minute, and we're used to converting on 2-minute. We could have had 31 points in this game because if we were just how we are in 2-minute, and then Kevin and Brian showed me the stats of where we are in 2-minute scoring offense, and apparently we're second in the league on that. And so, but we weren't in this particular game. And so, we're doing a lot of the right things. We didn't in that particular game, and that's why it's always I'm gonna say it's always gonna be on me first. If the guys weren't in positions to make plays, then we got to look at ourselves as coaches first and make sure we put them in positions to make plays. But each scenario was a little bit different.
And the other question is, what do you have to see in these last 3 games? And I know you're focused on
one game at a time. I'm not worried about 3 games. I'm not worried about any of that. I'm worried about this next game, period. Because that has been a common question. What do you have to do the next 3 games? What do you have to do? I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about today. And I'm going to go back up and game plan right now, so I don't got time for any more questions. But I'm worried about today, and that's it, because you cannot say I'm going to worry about, this is what I'm worried about the next 3 games. You're not going to be successful in this league doing that.
Let
you
me
put
ask you
your
just-
head down, and you work, and you get better at today.
Let me ask you just a single game, though. What do you need to see in this single game to say, hey, we're heading in the right direction again?
Yeah, obviously just get back to our standard, and that's what I'm going to go work on right now, Bob.
Thanks for the time, Coach.